Hello guys, welcome to our second video that is about what is structured thinking. So let us understand this with a very simple example. Suppose one day your mother came up to you with the problem statement. That is, beta, घर में दीमक बहुत बढ़ गए हैं. So how are you going to solve this problem? So you as a starting PM thought of कि मुझे घर से दीमक हटाने हैं and you have seen a television ad in which they show a termite resistant spray. So you thought you will bring it, spray it all over, and termites would be gone. Mummy खुश हो जाएंगी and you will get a video game. Sorted, problem solved. But this is what happened the next day. Termites appear again. Your mother came up in a very angry mode and made you reach this state. So, why did this happen? This happened because we solved the problem at the surface level. So it repeated itself. So what is the right way of solving it? So it is important to solve the problem at the root level so that it does not repeat itself. Now, this is where structured thinking helps us, as it helps us to solve the problem in a much better way. But you do not have any information what structured thinking is right now. So how are you going to tackle this problem without knowing this concept? So let's start with very basic thing. So what the question is, termites have increased in house. Now on listening to this, what is the very first thought that comes to your mind? Our main aim of doing this is to remove any ambiguity that we can have in this question. So what is that first thought that is striking your mind on listening this, on these four words? So could be as silly as possible. You don't have to be really logical in asking questions. Could be any silly question. So according to me, the first question should be, किसके घर में बढ़ गई है? अपने घर में, बुआ के घर में, पड़ोसी के घर में, मामा के घर में, किसके घर में? But now you guys would be thinking, isn't it very obvious कि मम्मी मेरी है, तो भाई घर भी तो मेरा ही होगा. But this is where most people make mistakes by assuming things based on their previous knowledge, which is often very harmful in nature and you must avoid it. So how are you going to solve it? So leave apart all the previous knowledge that you have aside and clear each and every ambiguity in the problem statement that you have, and use your previous knowledge to ask better and relevant questions. Now you have narrowed down the context from many houses to your own house, jiska context you know very well. What else? What are the other questions that are coming to your mind? So you are afraid currently कि अगर अभी भी कुछ रह गया एंड टर्माइट फिर से आ गए तो मम्मी फिर से गुस्सा करेंगी. So better to ask more questions. What I'm thinking about is, I know some information about termites, what deemak is, but there could be more information. So let's ask mom that ठीक है, मुझे इतना पता है दीमक क्या क्या होता है, but if I'm missing out on something, can you please add upon it? So तुमने जाके मम्मी से ये सवाल पूछा. And your mother added some points like the main reasons of termites entering into the house, like excess moisture, humid environment, cracks and gaps, and stored wood. Now, this is the extra knowledge that we earned from our mother. We'll keep it aside for now so that we can use it in future for solving the problem. So, moving ahead, what's next? Don't you find the word increased very broad? So, let's clarify on that too. So, on asking this, your mother replied that since last monsoon, these termites have increased. So now we think we have pretty much good understanding about the problem statement. Can we add a few more questions? Like location, which floor, which room, or which furniture exactly have seen this increase in termites? So your mother replied, at the top floor, on the walls near the water tank. Okay, so that's a really great information to have as of now. In this entire process, what all we did, we started from this problem statement, beta घर में दीमक बहुत बढ़ गए हैं, and we reached to a problem statement like termites have increased during the time of monsoon at the top floor near the water tank of my house. Don't you think that we added a few more words in the question and we narrowed down the context of the problem statement to a very great extent? This is what structured thinking helps us with. We start with a very vague problem statement. We ask more and more clarifying questions. We break down the problem statement, a complex problem statement, into smaller manageable parts, which helps us to solve them very easily. Like we got more information about termites, about increase, about the fillers that were missing in the problem statement. Like, okay, the top floor walls near the water tank of my own house. So all these informations, how did you receive it? By asking clarifying questions. And now do you think we are at a better position to solve this question rather than just seeing those four words, right? So this could be any PM question now. The main aim, the first target on seeing any PM question is we have to increase the context. Like my house, monsoon ke time pe बढ़ गया, top floor pe hai, wood eating insect is like called a termite, and we saw the scope is decreasing. पहले किसका घर, कब हुआ, कहाँ पे हुआ, क्या हुआ, कुछ नहीं पता था. But on asking these clarifying questions, we just decreased the scope and we reached a very particular problem statement which we need to solve now. So, given any simple generic question, how are you going to narrow down the context of that question? Firstly, try to figure out all the fillers that could be added to the question. Understand each and every terminology that is mentioned in the question and try to extract any extra context that you can get from the interviewer. So, we have this matka for you in which it will help you visualize the entire process of the PM from the problem till the solution. Like we start with a very high level problem, we narrow down the context of the problem, and then we diverge into the stream of solutions. We think as many solutions as possible for that particular context, and after ideating upon multiple solutions, we start to prioritize the solutions, and then we reach to the final solution that is implemented. So just remember this matka and it will help you, let's streamline the entire process of the PM thing. Now, this entire process we can now see in the questions that are asked in interview, like the RCA. Lenskart have seen a decline in orders, find the root cause. So what are the clarifying questions that come to your mind that you will ask in this particular question? Let's take some of the examples. Like, what is Lenskart? What businesses actually do? What all products does it sell? And where are we seeing this decline? Like, it has offline stores, it has its app, its website. So out of all the three, is there any particular domain that is seeking decline in orders, or all of them? Any particular product that is facing this decline? Like we have eyeglasses, sunglasses, the small contact lenses, any particular product that is facing this decline? Since when are we noticing this decline? What is the period? Like, has it started last 2 months, or from when are we seeing this decline? And lastly, like, by what percentage have the orders gone down? These are just a few possible clarifying questions. There could be many more depending on the answers that we get for each of these questions. Now let's try it with the guesstimate question. Suppose estimate the number of road accidents on Delhi. So what are clarifying questions that you will ask for this particular question? It could be, what do we mean by accident? Like a minor scratch or a major accident जिसमें बंदे को like hospital ही जाना पड़ जाए. तो किस स्केल का एक्सीडेंट हम कंसिडर कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे? बिकॉज यू नो a small touches of the cars can also be like classified as an accident, and a major accident जैसे must head on collision जिसमें से मरना तो नहीं चाहिए, but ठीक है ऐसे you get to know what I mean to say. So other question you can ask is it we just have to consider car to car collision, car to bike collision, bike to bike, car truck? There are a lot of permutations and combinations available on road. So do we need to address each kind of accident or any particular kind of it? And other question that you can ask is, on which type of roads are we trying to calculate the number of accidents? Like the small choti gali wali roads be ki just the roads, the major streets where speed limit is at least 60. And like suppose we get to know the answer of the second question, like we have to just focus on car to car accidents. So in car as well, we have multiple kinds, like private vehicles and taxis as well. So do we need to consider the public vehicle as well, or just the private car accident? So as we know that the answer to the question will vary depending on the answers of these clarifying questions. There could be many more questions that you can ask depending again on the answers to all of these. Now let's take the example of product thinking. So like Spotify wants to improve accessibility for blind users. What product or features would you design? Again, some clarifying questions like, who exactly is the target user? Is it the fully blind or the partially impaired? Because we'll consider both of them in the blind category only. So if we get to know the answer like it is partially impaired, so that will make our job a bit easier. But for a fully blind person, things would go a bit different way. Which Spotify feature are they struggling with the most? Like navigation, playlist, discovery, playlists. If a particular feature is going to be addressed over here, then the solution will also be oriented to that particular feature. Other question that you can ask is, what assistive technologies do we already have for these users? Like any existing features that Spotify is already using to solve this current problem, or we have to think completely from the scratch? And are we considering any hardware integrations? Like for blind people, like audio sensing, audio commanding is the most important thing. So we can have some hardware devices like some smartwatch or some Spotify ka chota sa version, in which they can keep it handy with themselves and control it through their voice commands and hand gestures. So can we think about making any hardware product, or we just need to restrict ourselves as a digital product only? And what is the timeline of this project, urgency, or do we have any budget constraints? So these are the few questions that comes in my mind when listening to this kind of a question. So you don't need to be overwhelmed till now, like how do I figure out all of these clarifying questions? As we move on through the playlist, you will be automatically, these questions will come up to your mind, and as we go deeper into all the concepts in the further videos, you will be able to make better questions. So till then, thank you and bye bye.